All right, we're going to get rolling here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This is Geneva Financial's Discovery Day, where we interview different people throughout the organization, branch managers and leaders, so you guys can have a chance to get to know a little bit more about Geneva Financial and ask any questions that pop up. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get going. Please read the message on your screen. My screen. I'm going to stop sharing here in a moment, but in order to ensure your um, anonymous attendance, please read that message. You can pop a question into the Q&A. It will give you an option to ask anonymously. And my name is James Polinari. I will be your moderator, Vanna White, today. And I'll be popping in with those questions as Cierra is our executive marketing director, and she will be interviewing Rachel Caple, our chief sales and revenue officer, who has been featured multiple times as a inspiring women in the mortgage industry in publications. And we are excited to talk with her today about her journey through the mortgage industry, which has how many years, Rachel?
Oh gosh, let's say 23-ish.
A couple decades, a good amount of experience in the industry, and her journey leading to Geneva Financial and her experience with the company. So without further ado, I'm going to leave the floor to these two amazing ladies and drop your questions in the Q&A, and I'll make sure that those get answered for you guys.
Awesome. Well, Rachel, I am super excited to be interviewing you, so thank you. My first question, leading off what James said, is what initially attracted you to Geneva Financial?
So I was looking to get out of executive management in operations. I kind of vacillated between the two in my career and wanted to find a company that I felt like I would fit in well with. A former colleague of mine had come to Geneva Financial in sales and recruiting and said, just have a conversation with Aaron. So I did. Aaron was very transparent. Some of the things he told me, I could kind of tell he's being very honest, which I loved, and is pretty rare in my experience in this business. So I loved that. But also important to me was really being able to believe in the operations, because coming from ops leadership and being in operations and sales, I really wanted to make sure that that piece of the puzzle was solid. He introduced me to Telly, our COO, and we hit it off. She and I have very similar kind of ideas on how operations should run. And she was also very transparent with me. And she and I had conversations about things in detail. And she was also open to new ideas, willing to hear new ideas. And I loved that. So that's kind of what sold me, although Aaron would hate to hear that, was I wanted to make sure that if I was going back into sales and origination, that I could close my loans, right? So that was important for me. So yeah, that's almost in 2 weeks, I'll be here 5 years. And then
Awesome.
I always tease that they conned me into this job, but I love being in this role. So it's been great. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, speaking of that, you manage a sales force of nearly 500. So what is your approach to mentoring and support?
Yeah, so it's a lot of people, and we provide a lot of autonomy to our sales leaders. So I take that in consideration when I'm working with our branch managers and division managers. We also love to foster and encourage their individuality, because they're in different markets, right? And different markets or different types of people require different types of attention, if you will. Also, our branch managers and division managers are so different. Even if they're in the same market, their skill set's different. It doesn't fit into one box. So it definitely varies, but ultimately my goal is to provide support. That looks different for everyone. So for example, some people, I have calls set up monthly or every other week to go through their goals, just listen to their frustrations, talk through ideas on how they can reach those goals. And for others, it's reviewing their P&Ls to determine how they can become more profitable. So just strategizing that. A lot of people come in and they've never run their own P&L. But they do enough volume to be a branch manager, and we want them to be successful. So it depends. It's across the board. Some days I'm a therapist in this environment, so it's different for everyone. I also try to bring them together to try to encourage ideas to be fostered amongst the group of them, right? Because some people have ideas and we're all remote, and
Mhm.
it's been tough to get together since COVID hit. So I like to make sure that we're trying to foster those relationships as well.
Absolutely. So would you say that that's something that is unique to Geneva, is really just making sure that you're able to give everyone attention that they need to reach their specific goals and not put them into one box, as you said?
I think so. I think, a lot of companies they're only looking at production goals.
Mhm.
And although production is very important, right? We want to make sure we're meeting production.
Absolutely.
That's really not the only thing that I'm looking at. Um, you know, I think it's just the tools that we have. It's really important to kind of figure out which tools will work for which people. And everyone's different, but you can, kind of learn through those conversations and getting to know people, what drives them, what their passion is, what they like to do. And if you're doing something you like to do, some people love to meet with realtors, right? Some people like to have events. It just depends. Some people don't want to do any of that. So it depends on what their personality and their skill set type is. And I do think that that is something that is unique to Geneva for sure.
Awesome. And how would you describe the culture at Geneva? I know that's one of my personal favorites, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. And you know what? When I do these calls, I always find it fascinating, the different answers, because at first I expected people to just say, well, we are all about being a good human, right? Which is our logo, which is what we put out there. And we are. But for me, what I would say is it's a make it work mentality. And if people have ideas on how we can make something work, we want to hear it. Of course, we're heavily regulated, right, as an industry, but we want to hear ideas on what's worked for them in the past, even if it's from an operational standpoint. We want to know how they've been successful. We also, our bureaucracy is reduced because we don't have layers and layers of management. And I know we hear that all the time in our leadership calls, and Aaron, our CEO, says it all the time, but it really does reduce kind of the red tape on getting through a bunch of layers of management, because it's not necessarily something that we want to do. We want to make it work. If it's compliant and it's within our boundaries and confines, then we can make it work. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Switching gears here, as a woman that has been in mortgage industry for some time, what sets Geneva apart for women in the industry?
So this is a great question. And I have been very lucky in my career to have some great mentors, both men and women. It's no secret that this industry is male dominated.
Mhm.
And I have some interesting stories related to that.
I'm sure.
As I'm sure most women do in this industry, right? We have seen a lot of things. The majority of leaders within Geneva are women, strong women, as you have to be, I think, if you're in mortgage. Aaron and Telly have done a great job of hiring the right people for the roles. So when they're hiring people, I just don't see them saying it's a male or it's a female, or kind of, pigeonholing someone because of their gender, right? And I think that that's something that helps us, because we're just hiring the people that are the right people for those positions. And our collaboration between sales and operations is encouraged. And so that's helpful as well. Being women in the industry, I think a lot of times we see, unfortunately, women trying to climb over each other, to be, seen. And that is unfortunate. And I don't feel any of that here. I really don't feel like I have any of that pushback just because I'm a woman, or I'm competing, right, with other strong women. I just feel like we're collaborating, and each one of us has something to bring to the table. And if, our idea works, other people are willing to listen to that idea and implement it. So it's been really great. And then in addition, we have, to our corporate leadership, we have several women that are in the top 10 on our Salesforce every month, which I'm really proud of too.
That's incredible. Absolutely. What strategies do you believe are key for driving volume at Geneva?
So as I mentioned earlier, I believe that something that makes our team successful is individuality, right? Fostering each loan officer's skill set and then aligning them with the tools that they need to complement that skill set. I think we do that well. Again, we have so many tools that we can use here. A lot of those tools are related to marketing. We have an amazing team. You guys know, I love you to death. And I call you guys our marketing geniuses. There's so much marketing automation built into our CRM that requires no thinking from our loan officer. So even if, they have a month or two where they're just not, they're busy with other things, they have events, whatever it is, the marketing's still rolling for them. And I think that's incredible. It helps so much. I hear all the time from them, oh yeah, this campaign went out and now I have a lead for this refinance or whatever it is. And it's a big part of how we create production. It's almost overwhelming. So for new people, I try to tell them, like, just pick a couple things to start with because it's too much. Or if I call James directly, our CMO, I'm like, I need 3 ideas and don't give me any more, just 3, give me 3. So I think that's a huge asset that we have here and we provide to our loan officers really at no cost. I mean, there's cost in some of it if you choose to go outside the box or, create pieces or whatever. But as far as our marketing in general, it's something that we don't charge our loan officers or branch managers for.
That's awesome. One moment. Sorry, I lost my mouse. Okay. So we kind of touched on this earlier, Rachel. But what do you think sets Geneva apart from other companies in the industry?
Okay, no, I keep going back to this, but individuality. I really am a firm believer that we encourage that. We want our teams to build on their skill sets, encourage their ideas, because that's creativity is really what helps people get unstuck, in my opinion, right? And we don't get stuck in a rut this is how we've always been, this is what we've always done, this is the only thing we offer in that space. We really allow them to kind of think outside the box and, foster ideas. And I am a very black and white person. I am not a creative. I'm not the one making pretty cookies at Christmas or, it's just not me. I'm not the one. So, but since I've been here, I actually have had more thoughts, more ideas because it's encouraged, right? And so it gets your brain moving like, oh, you run into someone somewhere else who's doing something and then in your mind, you're building off of that. So I think that's a big thing that sets Geneva apart.
Absolutely. And to piggyback off that, what you said, I also think it's very rare to have that kind of environment where people are heard and heard by leadership. So I like that you pointed that out.
Absolutely.
So Rachel, what traits do you look for in potential new loan officers and branch managers? What's important to you when looking for someone new?
So, we have all different types of people, but what I'm looking for, of course, production. Every company looks for production, and it doesn't have to be off the charts production, just consistent production. But probably more important than that is that they're positive with a great attitude. So we often find that people coming into Geneva are predisposed to the idea of ops versus sales, right? It's a thing.
Yep.
And that's not how we operate. So our expectation is that our teams understand the benefits that each department brings, right? And our sales force brings business in. Yes, they do. But we need everyone, our operations teams, everyone to help close that business. Production's critical. We know that. We appreciate our loan officers, and our company was built by a loan officer. So it's important that we understand that. And I think with the mutual respect that we see from sales and operations, or that what we expect, we see the operations really appreciate sales and appreciates the business they bring in. That's critical. Being a good human, I know, again, that's something we say, but it's important, right? And like I said, we see loan officers come in, and they're not used to having an operations team that's going to help them. And so sometimes they come in hot, right? They come in at
Yep.
someone and they're like, I need this loan closed. And we're like, okay, like we get it, right? Calm
Yeah.
down. Like, and it takes them a minute to really understand that they don't even have to come in so aggressive or so intense about why they need the loan closed, right? How many times have we heard this person's going to be homeless? This person, we don't need all that. We want to close the loan for the borrower. We want to close the loan for the loan officer and get them closed, get the borrower in their home and get our loan officers paid. So being positive, great attitude is, I think, really paramount.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What would you say is the best career advice you've ever received?
I was thinking about this, and there's so much advice I've received, of course, over the years. But I think one of the best pieces of advice that I've received has been bring your ideas to the table. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but expressing them is so important. Especially as women in the industry, I feel like it's something that when we first start in our careers, we just kind of sit back and wait, or we might even give an idea to another colleague to bring to the table. Whereas because we don't want to be shot down, right? We don't want to feel like the idea was stupid or whatever. But I think that the most important thing is bringing it to the table. And that is the best advice I've ever gotten. Because again, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you know, when it works, it feels amazing. It builds your confidence and you can continue to kind of brainstorm what would work. And it really engages people.
And going back to what you said, I think Geneva really fosters that environment for women to be able to share their ideas. So I love that.
Yeah.
How does Geneva Financial ensure customer satisfaction and maintain client relationships?
So we'll say it, we hear it said all the time. We want to be a client's lender for life, right? That requires us not only to be there for them during the transaction, but after. So educate them on what the industry is doing, where it's headed. We do a lot of that with our marketing. So a lot of the marketing goes out to our clients. As soon as they close their loan, they're on, or actually in our system, they're on our list for our marketing. And there's fun stuff that goes out, which they love. I mean, my mom loves getting the recipes and all that stuff, right?
Love that.
The gardening stuff, the home stuff is so great. I love it too. But really, one of my favorite things is when we get alerts for our locks. So we lock a loan and then we get an alert that maybe they could get a better rate at some point. Or they're in the ballpark to get that better rate. And we can start that conversation. That means so much to our clients, as well as, when we get an alert when their home is on the market that they maybe live in, or an address that they've owned or whatever, right? So that's been helpful for me because I can reach out and say, oh, are you moving? I've been very successful in converting those leads because I do produce a bit still. And it's been, they're like, oh, and I'll tease, it's a little stalkerish, I know, but we get alerts on this and it means a lot to them. It creates that bond and they really start to think of you as their mortgage person.
Absolutely. And bonus, it's at no cost at all to the loan officer.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yep. So what role do you think Geneva plays in the community?
Oh, well, Geneva contributes to a variety of charities and actually gets involved in the community. And I know this is one of Telly, our COO's biggest passions, because it's encouraged. So many of our branches have been able to work with charities. So youth sports teams, our Jamaican ice hockey team, that's one of my favorites. And just to be hands-on in their community. We've done stuff with autism groups, which is close to my heart. And I love being able to do that. And the fact that it's encouraged also helps me to want to do those things, right? It just reminds me that, I've been successful in this industry. It's been amazing to be in this industry, and giving back to the community is something that Geneva does, I mean, in so many different ways. And like I said, it's encouraged. So our branch managers, they've never been able to do that in some of these companies. And now they're able to do that. They're able to have events and do things for the community. So it's awesome to see those things. They post them a lot on their social media. And it just feels like, you know, a ray of light where the mortgage industry can be very tough right now. I think it's nice to see that we're able to also get out in the community and spread some positivity too.
Absolutely. I agree. And it has a ripple effect between all of our, 130 plus branches. So I
Yeah.
think it's super exciting.
Yep.
So Rachel, how do you see your role evolving at Geneva in the next few years?
Oh gosh, well, I mean, my role would have to evolve. It's going to evolve, right? Just because our industry evolves. So
Absolutely.
it depends on where we're going, where we're headed, but I'm here to evolve with it. I don't know what that looks like. Hopefully we get to a better place with inflation and, you know, our rates start to come down a little bit, but I think doing what I'm doing, I love, and I'll continue to do that exact same thing. And I'm sure it'll look a little bit differently every 6 months. Something changes where I'm, you know, called to do something more or different, or you know, welcome a new person who might help in certain roles. And who knows? I mean, I think just doing what I'm doing is beneficial, but also I love change, which I know a lot of people don't, but it's been changing since I've gotten here. So it's,
Yeah.
you know, I'm all about having some new evolution in my role.
Well, and I think that's probably the perfect fit for the mortgage industry. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Fast and furious, yes.
Yeah.
Always changing.
Rachel, what is one thing you wish more people knew about working in the mortgage industry?
It's tough. It's tough. And I think all of us wish that we knew, or our clients knew, how highly regulated and heavily scrutinized we are, because going through the process of a mortgage is tough, right?
Yep.
When something goes awry, it can be brutal if it's one little thing, right? And it's always our fault, right? If title messes up, if an appraiser messes up, you know, there's the uncertainty on the day-to-day on what's going to change next, right? It's a big deal. And I wish that people knew more how difficult it could be to be in the industry and actually close a loan. I know I get a lot of calls from realtors, right? If something's going awry, then they're calling me. And it can be tough to explain because there's so much complication in this industry. There's so many facets and things that we have to know, and rules that we have to follow. So I think that that's what I would say, is that our clients really, more than anyone, knew how tough it was.
Love that. And I completely agree. What would you say, Rachel, is the most rewarding part of being a leader at Geneva Financial?
You know, having my ideas heard and being able to impact change. So although my title indicates that I'm the head of sales, right, I really pride myself on understanding both sales and operations. And sometimes how I describe my role is kind of building a bridge between the two. So maybe, you know, a liaison, if you will.
Yeah.
I think I can give perspective to both sides, and it's really helped us to create positive change in our process, or in maybe someone's attitude, or how we look at things from either side, right? And so that's I think the most rewarding part, is the impacting change that I've had.
Awesome. Well, I love to hear it. And that's all I have for you, Rachel. So thank you so much. And I loved all of your answers.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
We have a couple questions rolled in. So first off, products. Want to know about what kind of product offering there is.
Oh my gosh, what products don't we have? We have a commercial division. We have a portfolio division, which is amazing. We've been able to use that a ton with bridge loans. Bridge loans have been, I mean, amazing for our investment properties. We have reverse mortgage division. We have all the regular loans, right? Vanilla, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, USDA. We have buy down options. I mean, gosh, is there a specific product that someone's looking for?
No, they did not mention that, just if there was a
Yep, we
wide
have
offering.
national DPAs from Chinoa, Essex, and Arrives. We also have a ton of DPAs, although, you know, I know DPAs can be tough and we don't always want, it's tough. A lot of loan officers don't want to deal with DPAs, right? But we feel like it's important for their business to have those DPAs. Realtors want to see the DPAs. And a lot of times it's an in for them to get into a realtor relationship or a referral relationship of some sort. So we do offer those as well.
Yeah, and we've got just about every niche covered under the sun, from physicians to heroes to dispensary employees, I-10, everything under the sun. So I don't think we're lacking very much. Do we have non-QM?
We do lots of non-QM options. Yes.
That was the next question that came in.
Okay.
Compensation was the next one. How does our compensation compare with the competition?
Our compensation is high. It's been proven to be the highest in the industry, actually, and it depends on the branch manager, your experience, obviously. But our compensation is one of the highest in the industry for loan officers and branch managers alike.
We got a question from a gentleman who is currently working in the insurance sector, and he is focused on the Latino market, but he is looking to get his mortgage license and wonders if we have training programs for new loan officers to support that transition.
We don't have training specifically for new loan officers. We find that it's been tough for people to focus on what they're doing full time as well as originate loans. I think sometimes people think originating a loan, having that license is easy, and if they're in, you know, another sector, it's, you know, they might get leads that they hand off to someone else. It does take a lot of time to learn the industry. And what I would say is there are definitely some division managers and branch managers who will take someone under their wing. And so we kind of offer that autonomy to some of our branch managers with some caveats, right? We do have some requirements for them. But we do have some branch managers who will take that challenge on and teach. But we as a company don't have a training program necessarily for new loan officers.
Okay.
Hope that
Next
answers your
question.
question.
That was great. Next question came in. Are you licensed in every state?
We are licensed in every state aside from New York and North Dakota, but I believe we just submitted for our North Dakota license. So
We did. Yeah, we're submitting stuff over today, actually, or to meet their requirements. So that'll be our 49th.
yeah.
Excellent. Did anyone have any other questions? I think that covered everybody. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody attending today. If you would like more information on Geneva Financial and the entire offering, you can find all of that information at www.joingfi.com. And there is an inquiry form there if you would like to speak to a talent acquisition specialist. And this recording will go up on that site as well if you would like to rewatch. Rachel, Cierra, thank you both. That was an amazing interview. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Bye.